2009 Honda Accord rear brakes. Want to jack your vehicle up, support it properly. But first, before you do that, break your lug nuts loose. Then jack it up and support it properly. Then you'll need a 12mm ratchet, wrench, or socket. Remove the 2 caliper bolts. One here and one here. If they keep spinning, then you'll need to hold the slider bolt. Okay? Got these out from the side. Pull your caliper off. Might have to use a little screwdriver, get it stuck in there, and pry it out. Okay? This is the type with the piston parking brake you got to push in. We'll get into that in a little bit. Then you want to remove your bracket, caliper bracket. Also make sure that these pins are free. So you don't have to go buy a caliper or bracket. So you want to take out the bolts in the back. Pretty sure those are 17. Also you want to take out your rotor retainer bolts, Phillips head, so you need an impact screwdriver. One of those. Stick them in there, turn it so it clips over to that direction. You know, you loosen, and then you hit it with a hammer while you're holding on to this handle part firmly. Once you got those broke loose, then you take your rotor off. If the rotor doesn't come off because it's frozen on, and you want to hit it about right here, here with a hammer. Spray in here with some penetrant to help loosen it up. If you're replacing the rotor, yeah, you can hit it on the surface. Alright. These are your caliper bracket bolts. There's 2 of them. Take them out. Remove your screws. And the rotor came off. And then you'll want to clean up your caliper brackets. You'll want to take the pads out. You might have to hit them with a hammer, get them out of there. Remove the abundant clips, get them out. And then clean the surface inside here. I'll do that and I'll show you. Gotta clean it out shiny anyway. How dirty those are. You don't want them like that. You want them looking like this. Okay? Want them looking like that. Not like that. I'll use a die grinder, angle die grinder, go down an angle, be inside there. And then I'll paint them. I'll let them sit and dry. I put my hardware in. I painted my surfaces. Okay. Took my pins out. Watch out when you pull them out, you don't, the boots don't tear. If you got torn boots, replace your bracket or replace your hardware, your boots. Put some dialytic grease in there or so glad. Put them on the bolts. Don't be putting it inside here because then you won't be able to push the pin in all the way. Okay? And put some on the boots a little bit so the bolt can turn, the pin. If you don't have to clean these up, you can use some sandpaper or a file. Okay? You need to get them clean. You get the caliper piston pushed in. Make sure it's, in that position, the X pattern, because on the back of the pad, you'll have a little nub sticking out. That nub will go in those grooves in the piston. If you don't have them inside properly, then this thing will be sitting in there crooked, padded in there crooked. You have your new rotors on. Put your little screws back in. Hold them on there. Snug them up, tighten them up. Got your piston pushed in with your tool or the vice grips and the C-clamp clockwise. Now we got your caliper bracket. Got the new clips in there. Make sure it's nice and flat, flush, not sticking out. I used the brush, push the clip down in there nice and flat, so it sits in there flat. Otherwise they protrude out and you can't get them, or you can use a little screwdriver to push them down too. I painted my surfaces, put Silk Glide in there. Things turned good, freed up. I'll put these on, I'll put my bolts in. Tighten my bolts. They're like 40 foot-pounds. Make sure you tighten them up. One thing I forgot to say about the rotors, to clean the oil off, use soap and water. Don't use brake clean. Brake clean eats the pads. Then you want to put down your inner brake pad. And it would be like that, and you want the squeaker on the bottom, so this one goes on the left side. So squeaker would be on the bottom. Don't forget about your little nub sticking up. It has to meet the piston. Remember the grooves in the pistons? And you want to put them in there. Have to put them in a little bit of an angle. Push them in, make sure they're both on. Put your caliper on. Make sure your pins are out of the way. Okay? Then you want to put your caliper bolts on. Those are probably like 18 foot-pounds. You know, tighten them up, you know. Okay. Okay, it's all together. Wash the rotor with soap and water. Put some anti-seize inside the hub a little bit, prevent the rust. Put the little bolts back in. Clean your sliders. Clean your pad surfaces. Put your new clips in there. Push your pistons back in. Don't forget to tighten your bolts, caliper bracket bolts, and then your caliper bolts. Always double check your bolt torque with factory specs. Now you're ready for your tires. Put your tires on. Put your lug nuts on. Tighten them up. Lower down and torque them. Those are like 85 foot-pounds. Now that you did the right side, now you want to do the same thing to the left side. Don't forget to wash off your rotors before you put them on with soap and water. Anti-seize your hubs, put your bolts on, clean up your slide mounts for your pads, clean out your slides for your calipers brackets. I always paint that surface, and then I'll put the hardware button clips in there. Don't forget to tighten your bracket bolt, like 45 foot-pounds, and then put your calipers on. Make sure you get your piston grooves lined up with the pin on the back of the pad. Tighten your caliper bolts. They're like 16 to 18 foot-pounds. Should always double check factory spec torque specs. When everything's tightened up, put your tires on, lower it down, and tighten your lug nuts up. to like 85 foot-pounds, and you'll be done. Okay.